What you're about to hear could change every night and every day of your life. You might think it sounds strange, but it all started with a forgotten book left on the nightstand. Emily didn't pay much attention at first. It was just another visit from Aunt Evelyn before she boarded a flight to London, where a whole new life was waiting. 2 days later, already across the ocean, Aunt Evelyn called. She said just one thing: keep the book. But don't read it like a regular book. Read it with your heart. That's what brought me here. The book was small, worn cover, golden letters slightly faded. The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. That's when Emily discovered a nightly ritual, simple, clear, and deeply transformative, based on Florence's own teachings. But before I show you exactly how this ritual works, you need to understand what really happened to Emily. Stay with me until the end, because I'm going to give you the exact same ritual Emily practiced. Because what you're about to hear could truly change your nights and your days. Direct hit, and while you're here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Chapter 1. The Silence of the Room and the Noise of the Mind. Emily was lying down, but she wasn't resting. The room was silent, but her mind was screaming. Overdue bills, late rent, messages from her boss lighting up her phone, messages she pretended not to see. And that old sinking feeling, like life was just a gray loop of effort with no reward. The bedside lamp was still on, casting a soft glow over the nightstand. And there it was, the little worn-out book Aunt Evelyn had left behind. Read with your heart. Those words still echoed inside her, with an almost prophetic tone. Emily had always been skeptical about that whole spirituality and money thing. In her mind, people got rich either by being born into it or by stealing it. But there was something different about that night. Something different in her. As if, for the first time, she was just too tired to keep doubting. She picked up the book, opened it at random, not wanting to choose, letting fate decide for her. The subconscious never sleeps. It receives impressions during sleep and acts upon them. Florence Scovel Shinn. Emily read the words, then read them again, trying to let them sink in. Florence said that thought creates molds, and words are the creative command. That sleep is a sacred moment when the subconscious absorbs without resistance. And that if you plant the right seed before bed, the universe will answer with a harvest when you wake. Felt like a soft slap. A gentle jolt, impossible to ignore. She closed the book carefully, as if holding some ancient, precious secret. She looked at the ceiling, took a deep breath, and right then and there she decided to give it a try. If what she's saying is true, maybe I've never truly given something greater the chance to work in my life. What Emily didn't know is that everything was already in motion that very night. Have you ever felt that kind of quiet exhaustion, when it seems like the whole world sleeps except for you? Tell me in the comments, what's been keeping you up at night lately? And hey, leave a like if you want more stories like this. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. Don't miss the next chapter. Chapter 2. The First Whisper Before Sleep. Emily started reading that very night. The silence of the room, broken only by the soft ticking of the wall clock, seemed to amplify each word. Something inside her was asking for attention. This wasn't an ordinary book, and as her aunt had said, it shouldn't be read in a rush or with distraction. What you affirm, you attract. That was the first sentence that made her stop. She read it again, once, twice, 3 times. Her heart raced, as if someone had just shared a secret that had always been there, but she had never noticed. Was it too simple to be true? Or was that exactly why it was so powerful? That same night, before falling asleep, Emily decided to give it a try. She closed the book, rested her head on the pillow, and with her eyes closed, she whispered, "Everything that is mine by divine right now comes to me in avalanches of abundance." She didn't even know exactly what it meant, but she felt a different calm spreading within her, as if someone had covered her with a blanket of peace. The next day, when she woke up, something curious happened. The manager of the restaurant where she worked called to say that the team had been transferred to another location of the same group, and she wouldn't have to go to the old building anymore, cutting nearly an hour off her daily commute. Was it luck, coincidence, or an answer? Emily smiled. It wasn't anything huge, but something in her recognized it. The game had begun. And now an important question for you. What have you been affirming before sleep? Have you been whispering worries, debts, fears? Or have you been sending out commands of abundance, trust, and gratitude to the universe? Leave a comment below. Have you ever made an affirmation before sleeping that gave you real results? We want to hear your experience. And if you haven't yet, maybe tonight is a good night to start. Emily kept up the ritual for 3 more nights. Every evening before sleeping, she would read 1 or 2 pages from the book and repeat the affirmations softly, as if sealing her day with words of power. On the 4th day, while organizing old papers in her work drawer, she found a gift card from a clothing brand she had received 2 years ago and never used. The amount, exactly enough to buy the dress she had wanted for months, but always thought was too expensive. She laughed to herself. Okay, Florence, I think I'm starting to understand you. Each small manifestation made Emily believe even more. But it wasn't just about money. It was the feeling of being in tune, of something invisible working in her favor. And maybe the most curious part was, she was sleeping better. The anxiety had decreased. The negative thoughts that used to chase her before sleep now seemed to quiet down as soon as she started her affirmations. And here's a little challenge for you. What if the words you speak in the last 5 minutes of your day are actually programming your entire financial life? Wouldn't it be worth paying more attention to that? Don't forget to leave a like if this content is making you think differently. Share it with someone who's been going to sleep carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. Because sometimes, all we need is 1 sentence before bed to change everything. Chapter 3. The Invisible 5-Minute Effect. Friday night, something curious happened. Emily lay down as usual, turned off the light, took a deep breath, and began her ritual. But that night, she felt compelled to change the words. Not just reciting, she wanted them to flow from within. She closed her eyes and spoke as if confiding in an invisible friend. I release my worries to the divine. Tomorrow, abundance will find me. Simple, unrehearsed. In that moment, she finally understood Aunt Evelyn's advice to read with the heart. Florence wasn't offering scripted formulas. She was teaching spiritual posture, vibration, a new frequency of existence. Next morning, the doorbell rang. A deliveryman held a box. Confused, Emily opened it. An expensive recipe book she'd admired for weeks at a local bookstore. A gift from her ex-boyfriend. The note read, "Sorry for harsh words. I know you'll have your restaurant someday. Never doubted it." Emily stood stunned. Just a book. Or a mirror reflecting who she'd buried under fear and self-protection. Here's a question for you watching this. What have you buried within that still longs to bloom? Comment below. The act of writing it down might begin the liberation. Emily realized the nightly ritual wasn't about manifesting money from thin air. It was shifting her emotional frequency. And that shift attracted events, people, answers. She recalled another passage. The subconscious never sleeps. It's always absorbing, always shaping the unseen. The epiphany hit. Those 5 pre-sleep minutes are like planting seeds in your mental garden before resting. Plant fear, wake in panic. Plant faith, wake aligned with opportunities. Then came Emily's breakthrough. What if the universe truly obeys your word? She grabbed a notebook and wrote desires as if already true. I am prosperous. Income flows easily to me. I wake inspired with valuable ideas. I'm guided to the best path. Always. Her new nightly routine. 3 minutes of heartfelt declaration. 2 minutes of gratitude. 1 minute of gentle visualization. Total 6 transformative minutes. Your challenge. Can you do this for 7 consecutive nights? Comment, challenge accepted if you're in. Like if you're seeing the power of pre-sleep moments. Share with someone needing a fresh start. This might be their turning point. Emily didn't know what the universe had in store. But one thing was clear. She was no longer the same woman. Because what you say before sleeping defines who you'll be upon waking. Chapter 4. When the world begins to respond. 3 nights of consistent ritual practice. Then something curious began. Emily started waking differently. Lighter, less anxious. A good silence filled her, like her soul was finally catching its breath. On day 4, over coffee, an unexpected call. Vanessa, an old culinary school friend, now a chef at a Boston French bistro, visiting NYC on a whim and wanting to reconnect. At their cafe meetup, Vanessa gasped, "Emily, you're glowing. What happened?" Emily smiled. "I started sleeping differently." Vanessa laughed. "If it's miracle tea, share the brand." But Emily knew. This wasn't tea. This was consciousness in motion. When Emily mentioned her restaurant dream notebook, Vanessa froze. "You won't believe this. My boss wants a Manhattan branch, and asked for local, creative culinary souls. Can I nominate you?" Emily's breath caught. Was this really unfolding? Here's your question. Would you be ready if the universe said yes today? Comment, ready for yes, if you feel your life aligning with something greater. What Emily felt mirrors Florence's wisdom. When you prepare to receive, good rushes toward you. Walking home, Manhattan shimmered differently. Even traffic lights seemed synchronized. Even strangers smiled brighter. For the first time in months, she felt alive. Not surviving. Not waiting for miracles. Alive. Present. Connected. That night, her ritual intensified. Words flowed with power. No longer a practice. Communion with the unseen. Before sleep, she wrote, "Life surprises me with daily gifts. I receive them joyfully, without fear or doubt. Now your turn. Comment below one power phrase you'll repeat tonight. Could this simple act shift your frequency? Like if this chapter moved you. Subscribe to spread this energy further. Sometimes all the universe needs is your whisper. Yes, I'm ready. Chapter 5. The past knocks on the door, but you don't have to answer it. On the outside, everything was beginning to change. But inside, old wounds still demanded attention. The morning after meeting Vanessa, Emily received an email. Subject: "We need to talk." Sender: Andrew. That Andrew. The ex who'd told her she dreamed too big. And no one gets rich cooking for a few people. Emily froze before the screen. His name still stirred something. Not love, but the shadow of old pain. She took a deep breath. Chose not to open it. Instead, she opened Florence's book. Random page. There it was. Never return to the past with regret or fear. What's gone has already dissolved in light. She closed her eyes. The message was clear. How often do you try to change your life, only to have the old life tug you back? If this resonates, comment, "I don't go back." Write it as a firm choice. Liberation. That night, something shifted during her ritual. Emily didn't just recite affirmations. She released. Spoke aloud. "I free the past. I release what served its purpose. I make space for newness." Something turned within her. Next morning, she woke with razor-sharp clarity, like someone had cleaned her mind's windows. She grabbed her restaurant idea notebook, opened to a blank page, wrote at the top, "I am abundance. I serve through my art. And I'm well paid for it." The words flowed naturally, as if they'd been waiting for her. Quick exercise for you. Grab a notebook right now and write this same phrase. Read it aloud before bed tonight. Tomorrow, tell me in comments how you woke up. We rarely notice, but scarcity often clings to what should have been released long ago. Emily didn't reply to Andrew. She didn't need to. Instead, she answered herself, I choose to move forward. And the universe moves with me. In the following days, coincidences piled up. A co-working client praised her culinary ideas. Neighbors asked her to oversee food at a charity event. An old contact dreamed of her opening a cafe and had to tell her, you might call it luck. Florence would call it divine alignment. That night, Emily did her ritual again. This time, she cried. Not from sadness, from gratitude, because finally, she was remembering who she was. And that remembrance changes everything. If you're on this same journey of reconnection, comment, I'm remembering myself. Like if this content speaks to you. Subscribe to help this message reach more awakening hearts. Chapter 6. When money arrives unannounced, and you hardly believe it. Life responds in curious ways when you stop begging for the world's attention and start paying attention to yourself. That week, Emily did nothing extraordinary. She didn't chase opportunities, didn't obsess over goals, didn't force productivity. She simply kept her nightly ritual, waking to write affirmations, speaking aloud. Money loves me. It finds me daily in unexpected ways. I'm paid for being who I am. Abundance is my natural state. Then on Wednesday, while baking a lavender cake for a neighbor's birthday, her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Hi Emily. I'm Karen. Attended a dinner you cooked months ago. It was magical. I'm launching a sensory experience space in Dallas. Would you consult on our food and aroma design? Emily nearly dropped her phone. She hesitated, almost said no. Felt her old self screaming, you're not good enough. But a new voice answered, deeper, hummer, born from nightly rituals. You're the Creator's child. Abundance is your birthright. Ever feared accepting a blessing? Comment, I receive with ease. Sometimes receiving is harder than asking. That night, her ritual burned brighter. Holding the book with pulsing hands, she added, I accept my new reality. I let the universe surprise me. I trust the unseen. It knows before I do. Next day, the universe replied. Karen scheduled a call. Emily spoke nervously but from the heart. The response, Emily, this is exactly what I need. Can we start next month? A door materialized from nowhere. But now she understood. The door was always there. Her vision had just cleared. Try this tonight. Before bed, declare aloud, I accept my new reality. I let the universe surprise me. Comment this to anchor the energy. But here's the twist. That same night, another message arrived. From a family member who'd never believed in her dreams. You seem different. What are you mixed up in? The old world trying to reclaim her. The old frequency sensing its control slip. This time Emily stood firm. Her reply, just remembering who I've always been. She closed her phone, stood before the mirror, met her own gaze, and whispered, I'm paid for being who I am. And who I am is light. If you're at this turning point, comment, I accept the new. Like and subscribe. If you're here, something in you is ready to bloom too. Chapter 7. When the kitchen is silent and the soul screams. That night seemed like any other, but Emily knew something was different. Since starting Florence Scovel Shinn's nightly affirmation ritual, her days felt more alive. Not because they were perfect, but because she was more awake. It was as if her soul had begun speaking louder than her fears. The restaurant where she worked was in chaos that evening. The head chef barked orders, 2 waiters had called in sick, and a dining room customer had sent back her risotto 3 times, claiming it lacked soul. The irony, Emily thought, because truthfully, she'd been feeling just that. Soulless in this place. When the shift ended and the kitchen lights dimmed, Emily sat alone at the cold dessert station, perched on a stainless steel stool. From her pocket, she unfolded a crumpled paper, one of the affirmations she'd been repeating before bed. I release the old. I am ready to become the version of myself that attracts effortless prosperity. She read it softly, closed her eyes. The image of Dallas resurfaced. It was funny how that offer, once improbable, even frightening, now felt not just possible but necessary. Since the call with the Texas restaurant manager, something had been bubbling inside her. Not just ambition, freedom. Next morning the unexpected happened. As she prepped ingredients for mise en place, the head chef approached. For the first time in weeks, he didn't yell. "Emily, got a minute?" She set down her knife, surprised. "Of course. Is something wrong?" He took a deep breath. After a weighted silence, "I've noticed a change in you. Don't know what it is, but you're more focused. Your dishes have more heart. In all my years, few cooks put their soul on the plate like you do lately." Emily stayed quiet. For the first time in years, she felt truly seen. "If you're thinking of leaving, just know you'll be missed. And wherever you go, I believe in you." She swallowed hard. He walked back into the restaurant's rush. In that moment she knew she was ready. But first there was still one thing left to do. Tonight, more than ever, her ritual would require her whole heart. Because she was about to choose her new reality. And this time, there'd be no room left for the old Emily. Chapter 8: The Flight to Dallas and the Invisible Baggage. The day of departure arrived with a light drizzle over Manhattan. Emily dragged her suitcase to the curb, hair in a hasty bun, Florence's book pressed to her chest. There was no turning back now. She'd quit her job, broken from routine safety, left a note for her mother on the fridge. As she waited for the rideshare, her heart raced. The last item she'd packed wasn't clothing or a chef's knife. It was a folded sheet of nightly affirmations. Before entering the car, she looked up at her apartment building. Her bedroom window still reflected New York's lights like a mirror of her former self. But Emily no longer lived there. At the airport, as the plane taxied, she closed her eyes and whispered, "My new reality is ready to receive me. I release the old and welcome the new with gratitude." During the flight, Aunt Evelyn's words played like a silent soundtrack. "Read with your heart. It's what brought me here." Dallas greeted her with golden sunset hues and dry heat that clung to the skin. The city sprawled before her like a promise. In the modest hotel room, her temporary home, Emily unpacked quietly. She placed the book by the bedside. Everything was new, yet part of her knew. The real territory to conquer wasn't on any map. It was within. That first night, lying in a strange room without New York's familiar sounds, unexpected emptiness crept in. What if this fails? What if it's just an impulse? Then she opened the book. Found Aunt Evelyn's underlined passage. Imagination has been called the scissors of the mind. It cuts the pattern you wish to see manifested. Emily closed her eyes. Visualized her new kitchen. The feel of ingredients. The scent of fresh herbs. Happy faces around the table. Herself leading it all, calm and joyful. Then, as every night, she repeated her affirmations. But this time with deeper faith. Money reaches me in unexpected ways. The universe conspires in my favor. I receive abundance with lightness and courage. Next morning, her phone buzzed. "Emily, it's Karen. Can we meet this afternoon? I have something special to propose." She smiled, breathed deep, whispered without thinking, "Thank you, Florence." Because here, between whispered nighttime faith and daylight signs, Emily began to understand. The ritual wasn't changing the outer world. It was changing who she was within. And that changed everything. Chapter 9: Where the Unexpected Becomes Natural. The restaurant still had no name. Just a blank space where white walls met the warm Texas sunset. But in Karen's eyes, the woman who'd invited her, Emily saw something she instantly recognized. Vision. Not the logical MBA-type planning, but the vision of someone who hears the invisible and acts on it. "I don't want an ordinary restaurant," Karen said as they walked through the empty dining room. "I want an experience, where people remember who they are through flavors and aromas that awaken something. A memory, courage, a new choice." Emily found herself smiling. It was as if Karen was describing her own unspoken dreams. "Why me?" she asked, still unsure. Karen turned slowly, crossing her arms. "'Cause you cook with soul. Because everyone who tastes your food leaves transformed. And because you said yes to Dallas without knowing what awaited you. That is faith. And faith is exactly what I need here." A shiver ran down Emily's spine. For a moment, she thought of all she'd left in New York. The stability, the boyfriend who dismissed invisible things, her mother's worried calls asking if she'd lost her mind. But now, in this construction site of a dining room, she saw the difference. In New York, she fought to be heard. Here, she was being called by those who already heard her in the unseen. Over the following days, they crafted the concept together. No fixed menu. Seasonal dishes attuned to the day's energy. A sensory herb garden in the courtyard. And at the center, intuition as the key ingredient. "What about the name?" Emily asked one night, flipping through sketches. Karen smirked. "How about the inner table?" Emily paused. "That's not just a name. It's a prayer." They laughed, the kind of laughter that holds joy and deep understanding. Another morning, over hotel coffee, Emily played a voicemail from Aunt Evelyn. "Darling, I know you're transforming. Remember, the process isn't linear. There will be doubt-filled days when everything seems stuck. That's when the miracle is closest. Keep your ritual. You're training the universe to respond to the new you." Tears welled up. Yes, there were days of doubt. Nights when faith felt like fog. But she persisted. Because something ancient within her knew. The invisible responds to those who keep vibrating love, even when fear knocks. That night, her ritual burned brighter. The affirmations felt alive. "I magnetize soul-aligned opportunities. The right people arrive. Doors open. Money finds me with ease and purpose." For the first time, she didn't ask for money directly. She asked for purpose, clarity, courage to remain the new Emily. Next morning, Karen handed her an envelope at the construction site. "This is yours." Inside, an $8,000 advance check. "I haven't even signed a contract." Karen touched her shoulder. "It's already signed in the unseen, dear. We're just following what our souls arranged." Emily said nothing, just looked at the sky and smiled through tears. Now she knew. The invisible was responding to her upgraded self. And when that happens, money doesn't need to be summoned. Comes, because it recognizes the address. Chapter 10: The Ritual That Changed Everything. The eve of the inner table's opening, Emily stood alone in the still empty dining room. Pendant lights swayed gently. The scent of fresh herbs, lavender, rosemary, mint, filled the air. Footprints marked the floor, as if the future had already tested the space. She sat in a corner chair, hibiscus tea in hand, and closed her eyes. She remembered. The forgotten book on the nightstand. Aunt Evelyn's call. Affirmations whispered through tears. The no's, the silences, the fears. And finally the yes. The yes she'd given her own soul. In that quiet moment she understood. The ritual wasn't just about attracting money. It was about remembering who you are before sleep. So you wake up being exactly that. That night, she sent a voice message to Rachel, her friend who'd asked weeks prior. "How did you make everything work out?" Emily breathed deep and spoke. "It's not magic. It's presence. Every night before bed, I do the same simple ritual. This is what guided me here. Let me tell you exactly how. Crescent Moon, the Florence Scovel Shinn nightly ritual. Step 1. Conscious silence, 2 minutes. Before lying down, turn off all lights. Sit or lie comfortably. Breathe slowly. Anchor your mind in the present. Step 2. Intentional affirmations, whispered or mental. Repeat each 3x. All that's divinely mine finds me with ease and perfection. Money flowing through my life is sacred and abundant. I live in divine provisions flow. God's perfect activity manifests now in my life. Step 3. Visualization, 3 minutes. See tomorrow as already resolved. Imagine waking in peace, receiving good news, contracts signed, money arriving naturally. Feel the already happened vibration. Step 4. Total surrender. Close with, I release my mind, body and spirit to the divine plan. Tomorrow, perfection will manifest. Then sleep. No expectations. No anxiety. The invisible works while you rest. Warning keynote. Manifestation reflects your inner state. Results vary by your faith, surrender, and emotional energy. No promises, only practice. Miracles respond to sincere, consistent soul movement. Next morning, Emily woke before her alarm. Not from nerves, from peace. She dressed slowly, tied her apron, tucked a flower behind her ear. The restaurant had no customers yet, but it had frequency. It was already alive. When she opened the doors, only one person stood waiting. Rachel, tearful, beaming. I did the ritual last night. This morning, I knew. Quit my job. Got accepted to a holistic design scholarship in Seattle. First, I needed to be here. Emily squeezed her hands. You listened to your soul. Rachel nodded. They entered together. Now, it's your turn. The ritual is here. Simple, profound, silent. Do it tonight. Observe tomorrow. The invisible is already listening. Sleep in faith. Wake to answers. Find the ritual steps pinned in the first comment to save. If this story stirred something within you, if you felt this ritual might be the answer you've been waiting for, then I invite you to try it tonight. Tomorrow morning, if you can, return here and share in comments. How did you sleep? How did you wake? What did you feel? Your experience could help others on their path. Want more content like this? Real, transformative stories. Florence Scovel Shinn's timeless teachings. Subscribe now and hit the bell. Every video here is made with intention. Nothing is accidental. Like if this helped you, a small gesture that spreads this message further. Never forget, your words have power, and so do you. May abundance greet you every morning. Until next time.